This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. I am your host, John Solberg, and today's episode is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop, purveyors of highly sought-after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets, and as always, they're handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for the past 15 years. Every week, they're shipping out competition-quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use the Butcher Shop win, and they win often. Say you're not a competitor, but you have an eye for the finer cuts in life? The Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-aged Australian Wagyu and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of their cul-de-sacs. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock, and again, always handpicked for you. Now you might be saying, John, all that sounds great, but what about some exotic stuff? Well, rest easy knowing the Butcher Shop will get you your next elk steak or camel roast. They're going to ship it out promptly. Yes, they'll ship you camel. So let's review. The best competition briskets? Check. The best pork selection? Check. Giving you a better overall option to cook at home? Check. So give the Butcher Shop a call today. 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. Mention the BBQ Central Show for 10% off your entire order each and every time. You can also interact with them on Facebook, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets. And I think I'm just going to let Greg take care of the introductions today.
My first guest tonight is an accomplished and championship award-winning barbecue pitmaster, a barbecue sauce and rub maker, and the VP of Sales and Marketing for the longest-running sponsor of the show. And now he's gotten into something that, quite frankly, everybody loves. It's something that has been raging across the country for decades, if not generations. That, of course, bacon. So let's go ahead and race over to the hotline and welcome back longtime friend of this show, Bob Trudnak, joining us. Bob, how are you, buddy?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Bob. I understand we also have Brian Cohen from Bespoke Bacon.
That's right. That's right. Great. How you doing?
Brian! Yeah, man. Great to have you guys. Brothers in pork and fat, no doubt. Brian, first of all, is the company, is it Bespoke or Bespoke? I want to make sure I'm pronunciating it right.
It's Bespoke, but most people pronounce it Bespoke, and either way, it's spelled the same way, so that works for us.
All right. Well, if nothing, I pride myself on my enunciation skills, as Bob would attest to. So it is Brian Cohen from Bespoke Bacon. All right. So a couple different places that we can go here tonight, and I guess the obvious question is Bob Trudnak is well known in creating and helping create and bring technology and devices that make the barbecue and grilling life a little bit easier. Of course, with the BBQ Guru pit temperature control devices, the cookers that they have, I mean, they're creating everything each and every day. All of us, then he gets into the rub, and then he gets into the sauce. He's wildly successful there. So it's logical that the next thing you're going to do is team up with somebody in bacon, and now we're off and running with that. So, Bob, I guess the question is to you first. Where does the need or the niche to feel the fill of bacon come with you?
Well, I'll tell you, Greg, I cook a lot with bacon. I'm very fortunate enough to have the Bespoke Bacon guys local to me. They're within a mile of my place. So I'm always using their bacon in my ingredients, and they're using my sauce and rub to promote their bacon. And it was just a natural kind of relationship, and we decided to put them together to make this alpha bacon.
Brian, did you approach Bob and say, hey, I love your sauces and your rubs and the fact that you're a championship award-winning pitmaster and we should do something together as it relates to bacon, or was it the other way around, or how does the relationship start to spark?
So I would definitely say that Bob's skill had a whole lot to do with us reaching out to him, and he's been really helpful to us as we've been getting our company up and off the ground over the last couple of years with the advice. So when over the last couple of years, as he's been using our bacon, and once he had the rub available, it just seemed like a natural fit that we try and do something that kind of breaks bacon out of the mold and uses his rub in a way that a lot of people might not be accustomed to.
Bob Trudnak and Brian Cohen joining me. Bob, obviously, from the BBQ Guru, and Brian is Bespoke Bacon. Bob, how long did it take, I guess, from start to finish? Obviously, when you're dealing in the normal day job, there's a lot of research and development and testing in different versions before something's brought to market. I would imagine something similar is taking place on the food side. Where did you guys start, and how did you come to a product that everybody was happy with to then bring to market?
Well, I think Brian could talk about this a little more, but there's a whole brining process that takes place and smoking and seasoning process. And I think they've been doing it so well for a few years now that I don't think it was that much of a challenge for them to get it right pretty quickly. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge, I think, with doing anything with a barbecue rub is that there's naturally a certain amount of salt and sugar that's already within the rub. And figuring out how much is in there and then how much more we need in order to make it so the bacon's not too salty or not too sweet. That's probably the biggest challenge. And it really didn't take us too long because we've kind of been playing around with this flavor line before. And Bob, we've been fortunate enough where Bob has set us up with some early drafts of his alpha rub that we kind of played around with. So I would say that the whole process probably took a few months to really get together, but when we finally put our heads together to push forward on the actual product, it really came together in a couple of weeks.
Brian, if I could maybe back out, and I apologize maybe for not asking this question up front, but how do you get into the bacon business, and is it something that you do full-time, or is it like a passion hobby that you're hoping to grow into something full-time down the road?
It's not full-time yet, but if you ask my wife, she would probably tell you that it's taking too much time because it's really something that's gone from, a couple of days a week, weekends and events to taking up a lot of my time. And the way we got into it, as Bob mentioned before, we're local. We're not only local to Bob, but my business partners are actually my neighbors, my next-door neighbors. And, like all good ideas come together. We were sitting on the back porch drinking a couple of beers, thinking about what kind of foods we haven't put in the smoker lately. And the topic of bacon came up. And, Providence has a lot to do with it. I used to work in a smokehouse. My other partner, Kevin, used to work in food service as well. And we came up with some ideas for bacon just to give it away to friends. And next thing you know, people are raving about it. We figured we might get onto an idea.
Is there any apprehension getting into a market where there just seems to be quite a selection to choose from, not only in the supermarket, but of course you get on the internet and then anything's available? Was there any trepidation when you got into that you might be getting into a market that is somewhat saturated at this point?
I don't think so. And there were a couple of advantages that we had. One, we're not paying our mortgage with this business. So you really get a lot of freedom to do whatever the heck you want and what you think tastes well. But the other thing is that most people statistically do not have a brand preference. If you ask people if they like bacon, the rare person will say no. Most people will say yes. But if you ask them what brand bacon they like, they'll say whatever is buy one, get one free. So that told us that there's probably, much like the craft beer growth that you see going on right now, people are as passionate about bacon as they are about good beer, and yet nobody really could tell you a good bacon brand. So we thought that there was possibly a market gap that wasn't being filled by an artisan bacon company, and I think we've proved over the last couple of years it's there.
Bob Trudnak and Brian Cohen joining me tonight. Bob Trudnak, obviously from the BBQ Guru, and Brian from Bespoke Bacon. Bob, if I could ask you in regards to, making a relationship with an artisan bacon producer, and it seems to be going very well. Obviously, the Alpha Rub Bacon is out now. Is there a particular website that people can go as we're listening tonight that maybe they want to jump on some of the Alpha Rub Bacon, or is that going to be made available to sale to the general public if it isn't currently?
It is going to be made available to the general public. Actually, if you go to bespokebacon.com, you'll find it there.
Yep. Yeah, if you just go to our web store, you can follow the links to our web store from bespokebacon.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/bespokebacon. There's a link directly to our actual web store. But if you want to go right to it, you can also go to shop.bespokebacon.com. And the Alpha Raw Bacon is right there on the front page of that store.
Bob, as I had mentioned, you have seen a bunch of success on the competition trail over the years with your products, with the cookers, now with bacon at your arsenal as well. How do you like to use Bespoke Bacon, or what are some of your favorite uses for this bacon, not only at home, but how do you see yourself working with it at competitions?
I'm not going to lie. I think Greg was surprised that Brian was actually on the line. He was excited. I'm happy that he was excited. Anyway, would you like to hear the rest of this episode? Head on over to thebbqcentralshow.com. Link in the show notes. It's going to take you right there. While you're over there, why don't you subscribe to the BBQ Central Show newsletter? It's going to hit every Tuesday. You're going to know what's going on every Tuesday on the really big show. Do me a favor, subscribe. You won't get spammed, I promise. While you're on the internet, make sure you check out The Butcher Shop at facebook.com/The Butcher Shop, shop spelled SHOPPE. And until next time on the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.